Ladies and mostly gentlemen, today we're going to talk about mounts. Not just any mounts, we're going to be previewing the brand new allied race mounts coming to the game in Battle for Azeroth, and definitely not 7.35. So if you didn't know, patch 7.35 has pretty much added everything back-end for the 4 out of the 6 new allied races. That includes quest lines, achievements, heritage armor, and of course, mounts. So we're going to go over each racial mount and talk a bit about them and run around in game with them and get a real feel for how these mounts will operate in game. I'll also be playing as the allied race kitted out in full heritage armor and tabard to really give off that true race fantasy. But before we do all that, let's talk about how we're going to obtain these brand new mounts. Now this is all subject to change, so don't take what I say as gospel, but it's pretty much set that this will be the way that we get the mounts. Now the way that we obtain these mounts is through an achievement. The achievement for each race is called Allied Race and then the race name. This is basically just an achievement for completing the unlock quest, and to start that quest you'd have to have the unlock requirements which are exalted with a specific faction and the completion of a specific zone storyline. These mounts will also be usable on all races of that faction, not just limited to your Allied Race character. So you can enjoy these beautiful mounts on a gnome or goblin if you wanted. Right, so now let's jump in game and take a look at 4 of the 6 new Allied Race mounts in game, and then after that we'll have a bit of speculation on what mounts I think the Zandalari Trolls and the Dark Iron Dwarves will be riding once we hit the continents. Okay, so let's start off by looking at the 2 new alliance mounts for the Lightforged Draenei and the Void Elves. So let's begin by looking at the Lightforged Draenei's racial mount. Their mount is called the Lightforged Fellcrusher and it looks like this. Right, so the flavor text for this mount says this: a gift of thanks from the Lightforged Draenei. The stalwart Elec is conditioned to charge headlong into the darkness without fear. So in my personal opinion, I find this mount to be the laziest of the 4 new mounts. This is due to the fact that with the addition of patch 7.3 and Argus, we've actually already been able to obtain 3 new Fellcrusher mounts. The Avenging, Blessed, and Glorious Fellcrushers, which are all reskins of the same model that's been used on the Lightforged Draenei mount. The animations are what you'd expect from an Elec, and I think one of the biggest injustices of this mount is the fact that the armor doesn't even match up with the Lightforged Heritage armor. Honestly, I'd say the armor shade of the Blessed Fellcrusher fits better. Overall, I'm not impressed by this, but that being said, what do you think would be better for these guys to ride? Honestly, I don't think there's many other options. So next up we're going to look at the Void Elf racial mount. Their mount is called the Starcursed Void Strider and it looks like this. Okay, so the flavor text on this mount says, the Shadow-infused Strider embodies the elf's commitment to harness the power of the void in the name of the Alliance. So when I first saw this, I fell in love with it, and seeing it animated and moving in game, it only makes my desire to roll a Void Elf even stronger. With the combination of those void wings given off by the chest of the heritage armor, I think it all just works in perfect harmony. This mount also features the same starry void plates which were first seen in the heritage armor, and it works perfectly for the vibe of this mount. Unfortunately, there are no new animations for this mount as of yet, and I would have personally loved the new mount special animation for this mount to be something voidy and awesome, but that's subject to change, and let's hope that that is one change that they make. All in all, it's a great mount, and it also looks really cool on other Alliance races as well, with the correct transmog combinations. It's also going to be a lot easier for an Alliance to obtain this than the White Hawk Strider, so it'll be a brand new unique mount model in your collection if you're an Alliance. Okay, so let's jump over to the Filthy Horde now and check out some of their new mounts coming up. Firstly, let's check out the High Mountain Tauren racial mount. Their mount is called the High Mountain Thunder Hoof, and it looks like this. So the flavor text for this moose is a gift from the Tauren who trained this sure-footed highland moose to safely traverse the peaks of High Mountain. Now from first inspection, yes, it is another moose mount, but when you look closer you can see some of the finer details that sets this moose apart from the rest. Firstly, on the face, it has the same war paint as the playable High Mountain Tauren. This is also on the antlers as well. Beyond that, some High Mountain emblems attached to some of the straps, including a small totem one, which is very similar to the totems featured on the Heritage armor. Unlike the Lightforged Draenei, this mount does use the same colours as the Heritage armor and blends perfectly when mounted. When looking directly at the front of the mount, the antlers of the mount and the Tauren perfectly align, giving a great look. Overall, great choice for the Tauren, and it also looks huge, so get used to being trolled by this one while you're trying to do something. Also, fun fact, the placeholder flavor text for this mount was, "I'm a moose, riding a moose, your argument is invalid." I think they should have kept that one to be honest, or just thrown it on the end. And our final in-game preview is of the Nightborn racial mount. This mount is known as the Nightborn Manor Saber, and it looks like this. So the flavor text for this Manor Saber is as follows. Born capable of sniffing out concentrations of arcane energy, this noble cat was presented with thanks to the proven ally of the Nightborn. So when I first drafted this video up, I was going to say that this one was actually my least favourite, but after seeing it in game and actually seeing all the bells and whistles on it, I've actually grown to like it a lot. I love the fact that this one perfectly blends with the Nightborn heritage gear, even down to the shoulder pads on this saber, looking pretty much identical to the ones on the armour. The purple mana tattoos look great on this mount as well, and I especially like the details on the tail. Now one major complaint I've read online is that this mount looks way too similar to the Arcanist Manor Saber, which you get after completing the Insurrection storyline for the Nightborn in Legion, which is actually now a requirement to unlock the Nightborn race. So you'll 100% have this mount when you unlock your Nightborn. By comparing them side to side, they are actually completely different models. The Nightborn mount actually shares a skeleton with the old Night Elf Tigers, while the Arcanist mount shares a skeleton with the Mystic Rune Saber from the Blizzard store, and they also have completely different animations. Okay, so that's it from an in-game perspective, so before we wrap this up, let's briefly speculate on the mounts for the Zandalari Trolls and the Dark Iron Dwarves, which are two allied races we'll be finding on the new continents. So for the Zandalari, I can actually see them going with a new version of the Direhorn mount. Now we've seen the Zandalari ride these throughout Mists of Pandaria, and it's really the most logical choice. This model can easily be dolled up to look way more Zandalari. All it would take is some tribal patterns, some spike, and some tiki heads, and you'll be perfect. Beyond that, maybe their own variant of a Devil Saw mount that we first saw the Blood Trolls riding in the features trailer for Battle for Azeroth. As for the Dark Iron Dwarves, I had a bit of a hard time trying to figure them out. There really hasn't been much discussion about them at all since the announcement. We didn't actually really see them again after they were featured in that trailer, so it's a tough one. An obvious choice would be a new variant of the new high-res Ram mount that we've seen on the PvP side of things. But you know, we're all wishing for them to make some incredible mole machine type mount, and I'd be a huge fan of that. Just please Blizzard, make it happen. We need the mole machine mount for the Dark Iron Dwarves. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know down in the comment section below what your favourite allied race mount is, and whether you have any theories or ideas for mounts for the Dark Iron Dwarves and the Zandalari. I'd love to know what you guys can come up with. So before I go, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my amazing patrons and YouTube sponsors. You guys are awesome. And if you'd like to support the channel in that way, links are down below. So leave a like on this video if you liked it guys, and subscribe if you haven't. And join us on Discord, the link is in the description. And with that, I'll see you next time.